Hi, my name's Phil. I'm a psychotherapeutic counsellor, a trauma therapist, and a supervisor. And today I'd like to speak a little bit about abandonment and how it relates to a thing called object constancy. Now, object constancy is something that we develop during childhood. If we're brought up in a consistent environment, if the environment is consistently good and we are our parents model appropriate behaviors to us, they mirror us adequately, we really develop a sense of sort of value to them. The child starts to feel value to the parent because the parent looks as though they're really enjoying, being around you, doing stuff for you, helping you grow. So the child believes that value, and of course the child values the parent then as well, and sort of a secure attachment will start to form. And eventually, as the child has to be left on their own a little bit more because it's getting older and it's that time to separate from mum, it's likely that the person with the secure attachment, when parents sort of go off for a little bit longer periods of time, they're likely to be able to hold that the parents are going to come back. They're not just going to immediately feel they're being abandoned and rejected, and because the parents have always come back, have always been there, so the brain is unlikely to go to "I've been abandoned" here. Where people with poor object constancy issues, that's what they will think, because of course their parents weren't available. And now that doesn't mean to say that everyone who has object constancy issues has been abused and severely neglected. It's busy. Life is hard. Parents have got busy things to do. They've got jobs. They've got money to earn. There's other children to look after. They've got other people to look after who aren't well. And there's lots of stuff that can happen that can create, a sense of inconsistency for a child, which then can develop into an object constancy issue. So typically the child with the poor object constancy, when the parent goes out the room, they won't be able to reassure themselves that they're safe and that they're valued and that parent's going to come back. They might dissociate completely, so not think about it, or they might start to really feel distressed and scream and cry and try to get some sort of contact back with the parent because they don't believe that contact exists anymore. It's disappeared. It's gone from the world. They have no way of actually regulating their 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 self-esteem because there is no object constancy. If there was object constancy there, they would draw on that and they would feel more secure. It's not there. So typically when people with poor object constancy needs, when they get older, it's hard for them in relationships to not feel the same way as they did when they were a child, because of course that was all that was modeled for them, and their brain is used to being in that environment, so it's going to look for clues. So the more intimate the relationship is, the more likely the object consistency issues are going to arise, and they're going to need more and more reassurance from their partner that they're wanted, because they aren't going to believe that that partner loves them, cares for them, because fundamentally they don't believe they're lovable, because they never really gained that experience from childhood, that belief from childhood that they were important to anyone, because people just didn't keep coming back. So of course, if you don't come back, if you're late from work, or you don't message in an appropriate period of time, the person with the object constancy issues is actually getting caught up in transfer at that point, and it's like they're back in that pushchair again, getting ignored, and that's how they literally feel. So of course, depending on how they coped with that when they were a child, they might start to cope with it now. So if they were a child and they learned to be very manipulative to get attention, that's how they might start acting. Some children might become even more clingy. So you might have people turning up at work wanting to see you, in impromptu times, because there'll be no boundaries. Very, very young children don't have boundaries. They don't care about other people's needs. It's about getting their needs met. So if we go into that regressed place with the object constancy issues, somebody with those issues, if they're triggered, might turn up at your work. They might, almost might feel like they're stalking you. But for them, they just need some sort of contact to believe that you still have any existence in the world and that you still want to be with them, because they cannot hold that belief. The object constancy, the lack of it, will not let them hold that they're important to you, because they don't believe they're important to themselves. So why should you be bothered? They believe that. So they're constantly looking for that reassurance, which of course you can never give them enough of, because you can't give them a need that they didn't get met originally. Now, so people with these issues, with object constancy issues, they need to, over time, get better at regulating their reaction to the situation, to the perceived threat of abandonment, to that belief that my partner doesn't want to know me anymore. but that's not easy it's not something you can do with your partner, remember, because you can't hold on to anything that they tell you. You can't believe it because you don't trust them at that point. Once the object constancy issue has initiated with that person, they're no longer your partner anymore. They're someone from your past who used to reject you. There's no way you're going to be able to do the work with them because your brain doesn't trust them. It doesn't trust them because they let you down yesterday when they came in from work 10 minutes late. They will not trust. So it's about talking to a therapist where you can sort of sit with the need to contact and examine what's going on in that moment. What's real about that moment? Is it a fact that you've been abandoned, or is it a perception or a fantasy, a projection that I've been abandoned just because they haven't replied to a message? Now, people in relationships with people with object constancy issues also need to think about this and be patient with how they respond, because obviously if they're just constantly sort of trying to mirror the abandoned child by reassuring and reassuring them, it's not going to help. There needs to be another approach. I mean, couples counseling might help, but really you need to rethink how you sort of step back into adult and sort of meet it from a more grounded place rather than from a reassuring place, because the person with the object constancy issue can't be reassured by parents. So if you go into sort of a parent role and you're constantly reassuring them, it's not going to work. So hopefully that's a helpful little intro into object constancy, which is a big subject. I've tried to fit it into quite a few minutes. So hopefully it will be something you can get your head around. If you like the video, please subscribe and give it a like, and I'll pop another one up soon. Okay.